cold spirits of the north, crisp winter night, northern lights over my house. The air bites at a crackling 20 degrees C. I take a huge drag from my cigarette and look up at the dancing spirits, the aurora borealis. Most certainly at some point in history we described them as such. The reason my thoughts linger back to 95 is because the Epstein case has turned into something else entirely. A political, maybe even cultural, singularity. The latest, Thorbjørn Jagland committed to hospital. Alt-right media spun it as a suicide attempt, and the whole world ran with it. Al Jazeera, Republic World, Times Now, Daily Sabah, RT, EA Daily, even CGTN, Russian propaganda spinning it hard, Indian tabloids feasting. The ringing in my ears grows louder, so here we are. Jagland, 30 years later. And what can I say? You can't make up this kind of shit, and it doesn't surprise me anymore. Growing up with Alex Jones and the likes shouting 9/11 was an inside job, I've always felt the sour taste of being on the fringes. Alex's prime time is way past due, and he is literally a propaganda pundit himself now. But the irony of it, that he was right, to some degree. There's a folk song about it that captures the absurdity better than I ever could. The past few months have been unreal, this case blowing wide, or almost wide, open, while I'm rushing through Python, SQL, and now ethical hacking at the same time. Life doesn't pause for revelations. The evening is moving into night as I reflect back to 95 or 96. We had a band, our first ever real band, with the dumbest name ever. I won't even mention it, so let's keep it a secret for now. But anyway, me and the boys were at our town's cultural center, rehearsing, developing our mad skills, while riffing Take the Power Back by Rage Against the Machine. We had a good thing going. Suddenly, the door opens. In comes local press, with cameras, mics trailing behind Thorbjørn Jagland. He seemed joyful, yet reserved, as he positioned himself in the middle of the band. I had the lead since I was riffing, so I did what I could to stretch out the jam. He starts bobbing his head and giving facial expressions like, "Yeah, guys, this is the shit. Take the power back, indeed." At the time, I found him down to earth and charming, at least to a slightly antisocial Kurt Cobain wannabe. But yeah, Thorbjørn, I think we at least need to audit the power. I really don't want it, but I want to trust in our institutions, procedures, and rule of law. Can't we just have a top-down audit here? I flick the cigarette down onto the crackling, cold ice and stomp down hard. Yes, Jagland, we need to take the power back. I need to know that my little girls are safe from the likes of monsters you frequent in your social circle. And yes, I can only imagine the pressure you and your family are feeling now. But I have no sympathy. There is no excuse. I walk across the glazed driveway, close the door behind me, lock it, and take my rounds. All 4 of the kids are sleeping tight. I stop in the doorway of me and my wife's bedroom. It is as if I feel the rotation of the earth, like suddenly it's shifted, and I feel the true G-forces in play. Oh my, I whisper and stagger into bed beside my wife. My left ear, the anvil, starts tapping in the rhythm of some podcaster speaking on my iPad. Sometimes I just close my eyes to it all. My writing has become slow in the onslaught of exams and wars. Ukraine is a mere shadow of despair as Iran rages. The classroom has become even more silent and tense. Any mention of the devastation, and everyone grows quiet. It feels like the pressure valve is just about to pop, but it never does. My thoughts circle back to my kids, both on the way into the school system and out. What future are we preparing them for? My mother and father were visiting the other day, time-worn baby boomers with a single kid, me. My father asked, "Are there really jobs out there now?" I couldn't lie. I flinched and said, "It's building up to be a bloodbath for knowledge workers." I paused. If nothing, I'm setting a good example for the kids in education, myself. My father's eyes glazed over as we both shrugged about what this means. In a world shaped by humans giving themselves purpose and meaning through labor, David Shapiro said on his podcast the other day, "I just want it to be over. Let's get the transition over with to post-labor economics." I hear you, David. It's like pulling a Band-Aid that has grown into the scab on your wound. Slowly, very slow. The humming. Months have passed since that night on the driveway. The ringing hasn't stopped. If anything, it's found new frequencies. Getting more and more integrated with AI and almost the full spectrum of life, I feel like we are talking to probabilities. Human written probabilities, and also information in general, distilled and pattern matched, until something coherent falls out the other end. We nod along because it sounds right, because it aligns, and now we are generating synthetic data, training models on model output, feeding the machine its own exhaust and calling it progress. This can become a feedback loop resonating in unknown frequencies, harmonics we didn't design, overtones we can't predict. I can't imagine what can go wrong. The humming persists, grows louder. It's a vector space, a dimension where, if it aligns more or less with our expectations and values, we keep it for further evaluation. The loop tightens, the resonance deepens. The space between signal and echo gets thinner until you can't tell which is which. It's March, first sunny day above 10 degrees C. I'm so used to the rainy days staring into a terminal that I almost forgot how sunshine and warmth make me feel after the dark, heavy winters here in the north. The light hits different when you've been underground. Something in you unclenches for the first time in months. But give me a month of continuous sun, and I long for the dark rain and silence again. We are seasonal creatures, pretending to be rational ones. The darkness gives us permission to go inward, to sit with the terminal and the thoughts and the work that only happens when the world outside isn't calling. The sun interrupts that, beautifully, annoyingly. The silence breaks, not by birdsong or traffic, but by the revving of my GPU fans, cooling down from heavy inference, grinding at the little cores. The noise is different from rain on a window, but it fills the same space. Background, constant. The sound of compute while the AI greps its way through millions of files looking for ways to audit the power. 2 to 3% hit rate so far on Nordic connections to Epstein. If I'm not able to audit power, I sure as hell will keep a stored record of it for the person that can. I silently form the words, "See you later, Jagland," as I flick my YubiKey around my neck and head out into the sun. Yet, the humming persists.